about a thing, lady, count on me. Baby, I don't do this for the following. They follow me, but I ain't tripping, they more dollar trees. I like my time spent modestly with quality.
What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Joel Friday TV podcast. This is Joel Friday, and he late. I know he late. It's my fault. It's nobody on the background's fault. It's my fault. I forgot to click a button, and the button is what caused us to be a little late. Can we put the full screen up there so I can see? So that's my fault, y'all. Nobody in the background. It's me. It's me. But anyway, we here. Welcome to the show. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. Welcome to another Tuesday edition of the Joel Friday TV podcast. We made it. We're here. A little late, but we're here, right? At least we're here. So amazing. Shout out to the whole team. Thank you, team, for, always being the go-to. Some real ones. You know what I mean? And shout out to the chat. Chat, what's up, chat? Amazing. Thank you guys for showing up, showing love. It's always great. So we got some things we got to get to. First, I want to talk to you guys about some topics that we're going to possibly get to and see how the show goes. If you guys can kind of tell from the title what we're going to get into. But last week, really quick, we talked about how to break free from emotional conflict and forgive. If you missed that episode last week, Lord have mercy, you want to go catch it. Go check that one out. Not right now. Watch this one first. Go check that one out after stream it. Episode 14, How to Forgive. Ooh, it was deep. We got into some stuff. So make sure you go check that out. It's really insightful, I believe. I rewatched it, and there's some good stuff in there. So make sure you go check that out when you get a chance. Also, really quick, the topics today. I want to talk about a few different things. So for one, what it means to be attached to somebody. I think that goes untalked about, attachment. So we're going to talk about attachment and what it means to be attached to somebody or something, blah, blah, blah. How to have the best relationships, great relationships, and how to truly love a person, right? I'm going to give my perspective and what I believe and what I see when it comes to those things. And maybe some other things, maybe might talk about, I won't even say it because I don't want to disappoint anybody if we don't get to it. But if we get to it, you'll see some other things, things I want to bring up. But we'll see how the show goes. But before we get into that, first things first, hit that like button. Smack it. Lay the smack down on the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we can get the subscribers up and the message out. Make sure you do that, though. Really, really. We're trying to get the channel monetized, so make sure you're really getting the subscribers up, sharing the video so we can get monetized. You know what I mean? And then when we get monetized, the more outreach we'll have, and the more like the algorithms work in my favor and we can get the message out and blah, 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 right? So really, you guys already been helpful when it comes to that and really getting the subscribers up and then liking the video, sharing the video. I could see the difference that it's making. I could see the channel going up. So I appreciate it. So let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing. All right? Appreciate that. Also, you can call in 888-775-3773 and we could talk. We had some interesting callers last week. Calls are always interesting. Call in and we could talk. We could fellowship. We can argue. Whatever you want to do, I'm here for it. 888-775-3773. Amazing. Today, we got some stuff that we're going to talk about and get into, right? Oh, this is wrong. So, first off, I want to say that this message today is for those that aren't sensitive, right? That'll be able to handle what's going to be talked about. Because when you're not ready to hear something, it can almost kind of be like a what do you call it? It can almost be like a problem, like an issue. That's not the word I'm looking for, but whatever. Because you may not be ready for it, right? And you may like wrestle with what I'm about to say. So I'm gonna really talk about relationships, and I'm gonna really talk about attachment, and it's gonna be some honest truth, which what I believe to be honest truth about the situation, the topic, right? And if you don't want your relationship to change or really like reflect on it, don't listen to this message. Because if you really want to get to, or you really don't want to get to a great relationship, one that is like, not like what is seen on an average basis, on a regular basis, then don't watch this episode. Because this is for people that want to like get to the peak of what relationships should be and for it to last forever. In Jesus' name. You know what I mean? And that's not for everybody. So just a little heads up, just a little FYI. But we're gonna get into it. So I want to talk about what it means to be attached to somebody, because these things, forgiveness, attachment, are not talked about in the world. So they go unsolved, but also not even recognized. And it can cause problems or confusion, right? So I want to talk about attachment. One of the hardest things to do is to be detached from all things. One of the hardest things to do is to be detached from all things, right? And I have a question. Do you ever realize that the things that you care about, and I'm asking you, the chat and the rest of the world, do you ever realize the things that you care about are the things that bring you the most problems? Do you ever realize that? Hassan, you ever realize that?
That's deep.
Do you ever realize that?
I mean, I'm thinking about it now.
The things that you care about the most are the things that bring you the most problems. And I was just thinking about like my past relationships, and not even just relationships like boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, but also relationships like brother and sister, brother and brother, nieces, nephews, children, parents, relationships in general, right? But first I want to talk about, I'm going to give two examples. First I want to talk about relationships, right? Like between significant others. You ever realize in your relationship that you can be very controlling, and you may not even realize it, or the other person is very controlling. Controlling in the sense of like, you can't look at that person. You can't look at that person. You can't talk to them. You can't talk to me and them. You can't date multiple people. You can't cheat on me. You can't do, right? There's all these rules and guidelines and things that you can and can't do when you're seeing somebody, right? And that was made up, and that was pushed upon society. That's like, as it was pushed upon society as something that's that you should do, admirable. That's what a relationship should be about, right? And it's not that that's wrong, but it became a book of rules, what you can and can't do. And did you know this? That boyfriend and girlfriend don't even exist? There's no such thing as boyfriend and girlfriend. There's such thing as husband and wife, but there's no such thing as boyfriend and girlfriend. Boyfriend and girlfriend is another rule that came out of the world's rule book of how to do relationships. But boyfriend and girlfriend puts an attachment. It creates an attachment. Now, what is attachment? What is attachment? Great question. Attachment is when your emotions become attached to the relationship, a person, a thing, whatever, right? Your emotions become attached to it. And when they become attached is when these rules matter. These rules that don't exist matter, right? Is when boyfriend and girlfriend matters, is when the emotions are attached. Because now when the emotions are attached, it's about self. I don't want her to look at another guy. Why? Because it makes me feel insecure. It makes me feel jealous. It makes me feel this. I don't want her to do that. So in turn, we say, don't do that. If we're going to be together, you can't text other guy. You can't like his photo or her photo. You can't, right? That's control. That's coming from attachment. Now, here's another thing. I'm going to explain what that means. I'm going to explain where I'm going with this. So stick with me. I'm going to give another example. Is you ever in a relationship and you really like the person and you're really falling for them, and then you actually fall for them, right? And you love them and you're in love and you give them everything you have in you to give. Everything you have in you to give. Love, honesty, trust, loyalty, respect. You guys have good memories. You guys have good times, money, all these things. And you have the best intentions, and you're just trying to do everything you possibly can to make the relationship work out so that way both of you guys are happy. Raise your hand if you've done that. Right? And you're just so like in love, right? And you mean the best for them. And then you lose them. You break up. And and it just feel like you lost life itself, right? Like it just feel like it just hurts. You feel this pain, this anger, this resentment. Why? ¿Por qué? Why did this happen to me? Right? You're confused. Like, I gave everything to this. How did this happen to me? Why? It only happens because we got attached. We got attached to it. Because when you become attached to it, it becomes your savior. It becomes too important. So when it's too important, you can't handle letting it go because you're still trying to control. Emotions and attachment, only agenda is to control. I'm gonna give another example, and I'm gonna get to the end of it. Is you ever realize as a parent, because I know there's people who do this a lot with parenting. When you're a parent, how you tend to overparent or overprotect, and you raise your kids based off of, no, you can't do this. Yes, you can do that. No, you can't do this because if you do this, it's gonna happen. No, you can't go to the party. No, you can't have this candy. No, you can't have. No. It's all these rules, right? Go clean your room. Go do this. Go do this. And it's not like certain things aren't valuable, right? But we're so stuck on parenting rules. Like, I just want the best for my child. I don't want my child to get hurt. I don't want them to get in trouble. I want them to live the best of life, right? Over-parenting. Oftentimes, that's the father, right? And then the mother is overprotecting, oftentimes. The mother's like, get off that chair before you fall. Don't stand on the counter. Don't eat too much. You're going to get sick. You know what I mean? Don't go out with that boy because he's going to hurt. You know what I mean? All this stuff. Overprotecting based off of fear. Why do parents do this? It's because they have a false attachment to their children. And here's a test. This is going to make it evident. When a child dies in a family, and I see this, everybody sees this happen before, or they've heard it happening before. When a child dies in a family, most people question God. Why would you let my child die? Why would you let a child suffer? Or like when a child is murdered, right? People are like, why would you allow that to happen, God? Why would something so innocent have to suffer so much pain? Why are you allowing me to go through this? Why is this happening to me? Right? And they question God. But the crazy thing is, whether it's relationships, whether it's of like a significant other, whether it's a family member, whether it's a child, it's because there's an attachment. And when it's taken away from us, we feel lost and we feel like pain, right? We feel conflict. But the only reason why this happens, the only reason why it was taken away is because it was a wake-up call for us to realize that we weren't handling the situation or the person properly. We weren't doing our job. We weren't properly taking care of what was in front of us, right? Somewhere along the way, you invested your feelings and emotions into this person or thing. It could be something. And it became too important to you. And anything that becomes too important is because your emotions have attached to it. And if you ever notice, if you pay attention to your emotions, emotions are very sticky. They're very sticky, right? To where if they get involved in anything, they latch on to whatever it is and they suck the life out of it, right? It becomes about, now it's about, wow, this makes me feel good and I want to keep feeling good. She makes me happy. I want to stay happy, right? But we hurt so badly over these things because when we lose them, because we meant well by them, we truly meant to be a good parent. We truly meant to be a good spouse or a mate, whatever. We truly meant right by them. So it's like when it's taken away, it's almost like it can't be me, it's them. Raise your hand if you said that before. It can't be me, it has to be them. It has to be them. Because I gave them everything. I did everything by them. Everything I was doing was in pursuit to show them how much I care for them, show them how much I love them. Try to do right by their relationship. Try to make sure it was the right thing. Do the right thing. Make the right moves. Take the right action. And it still didn't work. It can't be me. It gotta be her. It gotta be them. You ever said that? But not that they didn't have their things, their problems, their issues, right? But when you become attached to somebody and you care and they become too important to you, you stop leading. You stop being of service to a relationship. And it's not even about leading, right? I take that back. You stop being of service to the relationship, whether girl or guy. You stop being of service. Why? Because your feelings became about you. Because you're supposed to let things free flowing. You're supposed to be able to let things go because there's a reason why they go. And I'm going to tell you the reason why they go. The only reason why these things happen is for us to recognize where we got lost and where we went unconscious in understanding. That's what happens. The only reason why we feel pain when somebody leaves is because we went unconscious in the understanding of what was going on. We got lost in it, lost in the sauce. That's the only reason why we feel pain and why it hurts so much to see somebody go or pass, or because we got lost in it. And oftentimes, we only lose them as a wake-up call. God's trying to get our attention, like you're lost. You're fumbling it. Because in retrospect, it's not even a big deal, the relationship. It's not even a big deal. There's a trillion other spouses, mates, if one doesn't work out, right? Now, I'm not saying if you get married, there's other options. I'm saying before you get married, there's a trillion other people. One doesn't work out, there's a trillion more. One child passes away, that's why you have a wife. Make another one. People are gonna get mad at that one. But I'm joking. But at the same time, there's seriousness in it. It's like we make these things too important, right? Because you don't really know where they're going. Why aren't you grateful that maybe that when they lost their life, maybe they're better off? Maybe they're in a better place, right? And that's hard to deal with as a human being. That's hard to accept, and I understand that. But I'm here just to bring light to the situation, though. It's because that the only reason why we felt that is because we had a false attachment to it. We didn't allow God to let it come and go, because it's all a lesson for you to realize where you went unconscious. But I'm going to talk about, last thing. And I'm going to talk about what it means to be detached, right? And then I'm going to take some calls. The only reason why this happened is to recognize we got lost and went unconscious in a relationship, and to recognize we began approaching the relationship for the sake of our own needs instead of serving the needs of others with the sound mind. Our only job on earth is to be of love and serve others. That's our only job. Our job is not to hold on to nobody. Our job is not to make sure that our kids never leave the house. Our job is not to make sure our wife or our husband never divorce us. That's not even the job. That's not the job. Our job is to serve. But you cannot serve if you're attached. You can only serve by being detached. And you're only going to get the best relationship out of all people, any relationship, is if you're detached. Why? Because God is detached. And I'm going to explain what being detached means. Briefly. I'm going to make it quick. Am I making sense, y'all? Am I making sense? Woozy said, oh, I read it wrong. I hope I'm making sense. And what's so interesting is God's love. And I don't want to get too like preachy or like Christian, but this is just the truth. Real love, God's love, has zero attachment and feelings and emotions to it. Zero. Because I'm going to ask you this. Do you think if God was attached to us emotionally, that he could take your child from you knowing it was gonna make you feel the way you feel? If you knew, if God was attached emotionally, Do you think he'd be able to stand watching you hurt so bad from losing somebody? No, because he would be hurt that he had to watch you be hurt, right? But why is he not that way? It's because his understanding allows him to know that taking it away is going to allow you to grow and be more aware and be more conscious and become a better person. So then when the next relationship comes, you can serve the heck out of it. His understanding is unattached, and he's okay with you taking a little pain and crying for a little bit. Because he knows that ultimately in the bigger picture of things, in the grand scheme of things, this loss is for your benefit. And I've been going through it multiple times. Relationships. Thinking that, how could this happen? It ain't me. But it happened for my benefit. So God is not detached. And true love deals with all things, all people, all places, all from a place of understanding. From understanding. Detachment is understanding. And peace, there's peace that comes from understanding. You could let things go when you understand why you have to let them go when you understand. Understanding brings a peace detached from the stickiness of emotion, but with the proper insight on how to serve your neighbor. So when I was thinking like, well, how do you be detached? How do you let go? How do you properly be of service, right? Because people don't want to be of service. People's interest is not to be of service. Like, we don't really want to be of service, to be honest, at our core. Even the Christians, we don't really want to be of service. We want to feel good, right? We want a relationship. We think on these things, low key. And it's not that we don't want the right thing, but the human part, the ego still in us that we're still overcoming. Not all people, right? Maybe some people have fully overcome and blah, blah, blah. But it still wants things. It still wants things. But those wants always bring problems. Always. It always brings problems. So sometimes I'm out and I'm mingling, or like I date. And as I'm dating, niggas like gasp. Sometimes I'm out and I'm mingling, or like, date here and there. And when I say dating, I mean dating for me is just like talking and getting to know people and hanging out like that. Not like the sexual kind of dating that is defined today, but just mingling, right? And as I'm mingling, it's helpful to understand what's going on inside of me, especially when like I start seeing, like, I'll talk to somebody and then like I actually start to kind of like them. I can feel me wanting to control it, right? I can feel me wanting to like dictate where it's gonna go and then like be hopeful. Like, oh, this was kind of cool. I hope this goes well. And thank God that as soon as I hope for anything, it don't work out. But in the moment, I'm like, dang, how did I not, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. I stopped being conscious, right? So also the good thing about mingling and dating, right, is it allows you to recognize what's going on in yourself, but also it like tests the ego in you to recognize where you need to ask God for help. So I realized, so the question of how do you become detached is you let God take away your ego. You let God take the ego away. And not that like take it out of your body, right? Because it's gonna be there, but overcome it. Overcome it to where you're no longer subject to it. You have to let him take it away. And I know that we all want a 1, 2, 3 step solution to get rid of it, but God just gotta take it. You just recognize that we got it, and God gotta take it. Because we also gotta recognize that there's no perfection in a great relationship, a great connection, nothing great unless we're detached. Now we may experience great things, right? But there's greater. Because no one's teaching how to be detached, right? No one's teaching how to be detached. So we only know like we have a ceiling of like how good a relationship can be. And even with that ceiling, how good the relationship may be, you still know that there's still problems with it, in it. It's not perfect peace relationship, right? And the only way it'll ever be that, till death do us part. The only way, one wife, one husband, one life. And you guys love each other more and more and more and more and more. And there is no out of love, and there is no divorce. And those words aren't even in your vocabulary. You don't even know what they mean. They don't even exist. And it lasts forever. And your kids are just great children. And your life is amazing, and it's just blessed. The only way you can get all those things is if you're detached. Because no matter what happens, if you can let it go and let life come and go, and you just go with the flow of life, Lord have mercy. And I've only had glimpses. You know what I mean? Like, I'm becoming more and more attached. And as you wake up, you become less and less attached because your understanding grows in what it really means, right? But it's a beautiful thing. And like I was saying last week, I had conversations with my family members about what it means to just be attached. And it truly is freeing to, the more you grow away from caring about things. And people think it's so evil. How dare you not care? Ask God, how dare you not care? Because he don't be caring about nothing. But it doesn't mean I don't care about you. It's that the care comes from the light. And the light is guiding you on how to properly be of service, or to properly deal with people, or to properly deal with your children, or to properly deal with your wife or your husband. The light, you just have insight and the vision and the understanding of how to do things. You're not driven by a feeling or emotion to make you find some kind of result or to be satisfied. You just see clear, like, oh, my wife today needs some encouragement. But you're not like, oh, my wife feels so sad today. That makes me so sad. And we'll cry. We'll hold each other and cry. I've seen that before. We'll look at each other in the eyes and we'll just cry. That ain't helping nobody. The light allows you to see and gives you the power to solve the problem right in the moment. Boom. Change her whole mood up. Husband or wife, change the whole mood up. when you come from the light, because you're given life. You're not given death from the emotion. You're given life, and life and the light builds. It's in the Bible somewhere. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, we got to learn to be detached. And it's not easy. And it's kind of I don't even know. But it's not easy. But that's the whole thing of trusting God, giving it to God, overcoming, is that you stop trying to control things. And I want to say one last thing to women. And I've been wanting to say this for a long time, but I just didn't know when it made sense to say it. Is that you guys also are capable of overcoming, capable of seeing the bigger picture, capable of loving your husband, loving your children, loving people around you, capable of overcoming your emotions. That's possible too, but you got to be seeking. You got to stop competing. With other women too. Ooh. Like, relax. And I want to get into maybe another episode. I want to get into that too. Cuz ladies, you guys have a high expectation of life, which is causing you problems. Your expectation of everything, which is a lack of self-assurance. And that just becomes from the conflict of that emotion brings. You know what I mean? And it's just a lot. I might have to unpack that on a whole nother show. But I hope that makes sense. Hassan, what do you think about detachment and attachment and what I talked about?
Amazing stuff, man. I love your perspective. I love that God doesn't care about your emotions. I mean, you got some serious bars.
You think so? And appreciate it. Do you think that it is more valuable to be detached in a relationship, or you think it's not attained? It's not. It doesn't work.
I mean, it can work if you make it work, but it is a challenge because she will force you to come into that world.
Yeah.
And if you're but you bring up a lot of good points, because in a lot of ways, the same way God doesn't care, like you said, because women will say that, like, oh, you don't care about my emotions, or you're not coming into hell with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
in other words,
and it's like you saying that God doesn't care about our emotions. It's like we should be that kind of in the relationship, not to make it about the leading, like you said.
Yeah.
But we should stand for the what's right and be kind of that light in the relationship. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. I mean, I do my best, but
I feel you.
It's you do tend to It's
a slippery slope.
Yeah, you drift in and out of it.
You know what? I want to add to what Hassan just said. Hold on, I keep doing this. Sorry, y'all. This thing keeps sticking. Sorry. Let me just relax. But I'm going to add to what Hassan just said, because it's not always the most, as we're overcoming, because we've lived a life so long of the wrong teachings, it's hard to overcome, but we do our best, right? But here's the thing. When we become detached, we actually think that we're going to lose the girl or lose the relationship. But here's the thing. That's okay. Because when we're detached, we have to know when that's a wake-up call also for your significant other. Because if you're unattached and you have to speak on the truth and have to be honest or let somebody go, what does that do for them? Sometimes when a guy puts his foot down or whatever the dynamic is, right? But when the guy puts his foot down and he's like, I'm not dealing with that. And she's like, well, then I'm not going to be with you. Bye. And it's not, you don't say bye, right? And maybe in some cases you just say bye. But that's what the attitude should be. It's like, that's okay. Because love also lets people go. Like loyalty is also another setup. Like that's how the world sets you up, loyalty. I'm going to be loyal to him. If he ain't your husband or your wife, what you mean loyalty? If they're not treating you right and they're not being what they need to be, you have to let them go. Because that's a lesson for them. You're not going to deal with that. But we deal with the mess because we don't want to let go. We don't want to lose it. But you got to be okay with losing it because they got to get their stuff in order. Vice versa, men and women. Put your foot down. But it got to be genuine you got to be a genuine foot down. Because they'll see that in you and be like, wow, like he means business. He's not just capping. For those that don't know what capping means, lying, right? He really means business. That's how God treats us. He will take that little child, and God forbid, well, not even God forbid, because that's another attachment, right? But if God takes away that child, God's taking away that child. And I know it seems so harsh to think of it like that way, but he has a reason. He's not thinking about your feelings and stuff. He's trying to help you. But anyway, I say this all to say is that we got to make our way towards being detached from things. Because we're missing out on life. We're missing out on life. We truly are. We truly are. And I'm starting to I know a lot of people as well starting to see what life really is supposed to be like. And you're missing out on it with all this mess. And it doesn't mean that you're not gonna get married and not gonna have kids or all that stuff. But if you become detached and you're okay with not having a wife or a husband and not having children and whatever God will be, then if it's meant for you to have someone, he'll add somebody to your life and they'll just serve you. They'll be right there to serve you with a great life. As hard as it may be, we got to learn to let go of our ego and just give it to God. Like, Lord, but we got to truly seek that. It can't be fake and phony because that's still evil. So anyway, let me take a call or two or three, however, whatever happens. And I want to make another comment on a side note, nothing to do about what we talked about, on a side note. But let me take a call really quick. I hope that made sense. Let me go to not first time caller, Excuse me. Let me go to Frederick out of Los Angeles. Frederick, you're on the air. Welcome to the show.
How's it going, Joel?
How's it going, Frederick?
It's going all right. It's going all right. I had to make a comment because I think you have it completely backwards.
Tell me how you feel.
All right. The first religion focused on truth, justice, harmony, balance, order, propriety, and reciprocity. Without reciprocity or a connection, you can't give what's freely been given to you. It has to be a connection. So the detachment thing is make-believe, because as long as we focus on our goal, the women will be attached to us, and the basic order of things will be aligned in God's eyes.
Wait, so you think...
It is God's plan, and whatever God wants to happen is going to happen.
Right.
So with this detachment thing, you're not going to have women following men and men leading women. You're going to have women detached, trying to lead their own lives and not listening to men. It seems like you're going away from the Christian values to me.
So you think that the woman should be attached to the man, but the man should not be attached at all?
Yes, when you start liking to the woman, you're in the backwards order of how God said things. Man is above woman. So women should be attached to us.
But then
we're their drug. Once we start pleasing them, we lost the order of things of trying to make them happy and what they want to do. And they will be
you're saying,
to us because
but Frederick, let me cut you off really quick. So you're saying that we should be detached from the woman, but the woman should not be detached from us.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me tell you
we
where...
should be attached to our goals and what God wants us to do, and they will be so in awe at our mission and want to be there with us. You don't have to make a label and say they're your girlfriend. You have a flock of 20. If your eyes are set on the prize and you're driven to get there, and you can conversate them without being a horn dog and acting like you want sex. Just focus on the bag. If you focus on the bag, women will always come, true or not.
Well, I can agree with you partly, but I'm going to tell you where I disagree. I agree with where you're going with it, where the man should be leading, and then if someone's going to be attached, let it be the woman, because the man can handle it. Stuff like that, but I disagree, because the man should not be attached to. I'm gonna make 2 points: why the woman should not be attached and why the man should not be attached. Is because if the man is attached to doing what's right, that's still a problem. Because if you're attached to doing what, well, let me tell you. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Is that when you're attached to doing what is right, doing what is right becomes too important, and then you turn into a nutcase just trying to do what's right, when all things should be not a big deal. And that's when you could truly see it for what it is, because you'll pull your hair out just trying to do the right thing, believe me. So that's one point.
I think you'll pull your hair out.
Let me just make to the second point.
Let me stop you. Oh, okay.
Let me make the second point. The reason why the girl should not be attached is because when she is attached, now, it's better for the woman to be attached, right? Because the man can handle it and he can lead her in that way. But he should be leading her to be unattached, because if she's attached, as soon as he does something that she doesn't like, her whole world is gonna go crazy. Her whole mind, everything is gonna blow. Let me tell you why. Because she had an expectation of how she wants things. Attachment has expectation. It wants to control. So when things are going good, it feels good. But if it's attached, when things go bad, all hell breaks loose. And you don't want hell to break loose.
Let me make a quick point right here. You saying, I'm a father. I just lost my son 3 years ago in 3 weeks. 3 years and 3 weeks ago, I lost my son. He was 21 in a car accident. Even losing your son, you could say, could be your fault, your ego, God trying to show you something. No, it's how you stand up as a man, go through it, and the woman will still follow you. Yes, she will leave you if you putting your ego on the line and saying you're doing this and it's not God's plan. She will leave you, be like, oh, yeah, you trying to do this. But no, if you stand up, handle your business as a man, she will not leave your side or blame you for your son passing away in a car accident and say, yeah, I'm going to go a different route. God's trying to punish us. You must not know what you're doing. No, you can't put that on man. That's the ego allowing you to say, I need to learn a lesson from this, or I must be on my high horse. No, people's kids die, and it's unexpected, and it ain't because they're doing nothing wrong in life. I disagree with that. And the next thing, if you don't have a withdrawal when your son or daughter passes, then therefore you wasn't doing something right during their life. If you're not connected with that person, even if they're gone, you're still going to feel a type of way. You're not just going to be like, oh, well, happy old day, put them in the ground, we can have another.
Yeah,
that's not human nature.
I would
Even
agree.
Drugs, you have a withdrawal from.
I would agree that you can. Now I haven't lost. I don't have a children. I haven't lost a child. But I've lost a family members. No, I think. Well, let me make this point: is that like, I think that it doesn't mean that you didn't have a connection and you don't miss them, and you don't value what you guys had while they were here on Earth, but you also don't have pain, because pain, you're not heartbroken, because heartbroken means that you're missing the reason.
Do you think it was the parents' fault? I understand how different people grieve.
That the child passed?
Yeah.
Not in all cases.
Okay.
But I would say one of the reasons why this does happen is because sometimes the parents aren't recognizing what's going on. Like when you lose a relationship, you don't realize
all deaths are not just like planned. This is God's planned freak accident. Just like babies, yeah, they die and people try to blame God, but it is a plan, and it's not to wake you up. It's just statistics that one out of so many of these is going to happen like this.
No,
so if you could
I just don't believe
God's
it though.
Plan,
I just don't believe it that way. I feel like there's a purpose that these things happen for the benefit of growth.
Then
that's
you
just how
drive
I see
yourself
it.
crazy because you're making up a belief system to justify something that you have no proof of. You can't say this happened because of this, but in your own mind, that's your ego trying to put blame on this or this person or shun them, and you shouldn't have an ego to even judge anything. It's just God.
But I agree with that, but partially I agree that the ego will also try to search for answers just to feel better. You're 100% right, but there's also a natural seeking that comes from trying to understand why things happen the way that they do. And when you shouldn't pull your hair out trying to understand it, because that is the ego. And that's what attachment does. But there is a lesson to be learned in those situations that help you grow. And oftentimes one of the lessons is that you were unconscious while it was here. And sometimes we don't realize that. And sometimes we need to be humbled a little bit. So when things are taken away, we realize, wow, I wasn't really handling it properly. I wasn't really I was too attached to it. It was too important. And not all cases that's always the case, but a lot of the times it's because we need to be checked. There's a lesson that needs to be learned. That's my opinion on it, Frederick.
Not a problem. You're welcome. Hey, I love calling in. Just wanted to talk to you about that. I know you're on a shorter term. I'll catch you later.
All right, thanks, Frederick. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Call again.
All
right, bye. Interesting. Dang, I got it, Ann. I wanted to talk about Donald Trump. But I had some comments because I watched his the CNN thing, and I had some thoughts that I wanted to talk about. It was so interesting. Ooh, it was interesting.
So amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was so good, and I wanted to really talk about it, but I know I'm gonna definitely we'll get into it. I definitely want to not get carried away. I want to be detached from this from getting carried away. So I'm gonna end the show, but we'll get into it. But I will say that I got a lot of respect for the man. But we'll get into it. But that's the end of the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that made sense. I hope I explained it well. Thanks to all the whole team for helping out. Follow me across the board on all platforms. Joel Friday TV, The Gift of the Dance. And we got some things coming. I know I say it all the time, but we really do. The whole network, we got some things coming. So make sure you tune in, you subscribe, you share the video. And like I said before, help me get monetized. Send the message out, send the videos out, get the subscribers up, and let's do what we can to get the message out. Amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you guys next week if the Lord is willing. Bye.